Hello and welcome back to another episode of Third and 23. I'm your host Alex, here to talk college football, and this time specifically week 7 of the college football season, kicking off tomorrow. Um, and discuss my picks and predictions real quick. You know, uh, if you guys saw it last night, I don't know if you guys did it. I did a little two-teamer last night. And I did +3 with the Houston Cougars. Down 39-35. They hit a Hail Mary at the last play of the game to win 41-39. I get the cover. I was going to take Houston straight up, but I was like, nah, let me do Houston with the +3. So I hit on that. So I only bring that up to say, sometimes you get killed on those kind of plays because you would have had West Virginia with and laying the 3. But this is a situation where it worked in my favor. I had Houston with the +3. And so just want to point that out, that sometimes, man, that kind of stuff, it happens for you, and it works out for you. So I hit on a two-teamer last night, nothing games, but, sometimes I just like doing it, especially to wash out what happened last week, right? But anyway, so I'm here to talk my picks and predictions. As you see, we got a lot of games to talk about this week. Get more into the college football season, more games to talk about, right? If you're new to the channel, you'll see in the top right, that's my overall. My overall record is my straight up record for the season. It doesn't look too bad. It used to look prettier, but it doesn't look too bad. And then my against the spread record. Had a hot start this year. I've really cooled off the last 2 weeks. Been a bit of a struggle. So keep that in mind while you're hearing my picks. That, hasn't been all sunshines and rainbows these last 2 weeks. But anyway, so let's get into it, right? It's money day. Let's go get that money. It's money weekend. All right, so first up, Syracuse, Florida State. Florida State, as I always say, if you see the spreads on your screen right now, these were what the spreads were at the beginning of the week. And then I'm going to change real time so you can see what the spreads have evolved to. That way you get an idea of where the money's being laid and all of that. So Syracuse versus Florida State. This is in Tallahassee. Florida State is a 17.5-point favorite to start. And this has sorry, I had the game. There it is. This is bumped up to an 18-point spread. So let's go ahead and change that real time. That doesn't surprise me. I I don't typically like doing high spreads with the favorite, but I've done it this year, as you guys recall. And actually have a hit on it when I have done it this year, as you guys recall. But so this one doesn't surprise me because I was leaning towards Florida State covering in this. So Florida State, if you've been paying attention, yeah, they're ranked in the top 5. And you think a lot of good things about them. But if you look closer at them, they really got bailed out in the Clemson and Boston College games. Probably should have lost both of those. And Boston College is a bad team, so that would have been a really ugly loss. Their offense, their passing game, Jordan Travis hasn't really been cooking like that really the last 3 games, to be honest. But they've been finding ways to move the ball. When the passing game's not going, they've had it with the running game. Running game went off last week. Trey Benson had 200. Now he hit 2 home runs. But overall, even without the 2 home runs, they were running pretty well against Virginia Tech. Right? They're going against a Syracuse team that I said early in the week. I let you guys know that these guys are. I think these guys might be fading. I think being a one-man team is really starting to get to them. Everything's about Garrett Schrader. They haven't hit 300 yards of offense the last 2 weeks against Clemson or North Carolina. The 2 best teams they've played this year. The Florida State isn't a good defense, but I think this is a game where their defense can look good in it because Syracuse is so one-dimensional and so reliant on Garrett Schrader scrambles, right? Now, Syracuse does, in my opinion, have a good front 7. I think they're good enough in the front 7 to really contain Trey Benson in the Florida State running attack. But I think on the back end, they're not really that talented. I think Keon Coleman has been pretty quiet lately, and I think this is a game that he can really get off in and get back to showing who he is, right? So I think that Florida State is my pick to win this game straight up, no question about it. Now, do I want to lay to 18? This is a game, again, I don't think Syracuse is going to score a lot of points. And I think the spread is going to be really close to that 18. I could see this easily being 31-13, 34-16, right around there, right around a push, and you either hit just barely if it's 37-16, for example, or you don't hit 33-16, right? So this is a game that I'm going to stay away from as far as against the spread, but I am going Florida State straight up. But I understand if you're laying the 18 because it does kind of make sense to me because I don't think Syracuse is really going to score a lot of points in this game. All right, on to Oregon at Washington. This is the game of the day. Pretty sure College Game Day is in Seattle. You guys don't know, Seattle is one of the toughest places to play in the Pac-12. Pac-12 really only got like 3 legit home field advantages. It's Autzen in Oregon, which is the Oregon Ducks, Husky Stadium, which is Seattle, and then if you play at Utah, right? That's it. I mean, if some people want to say UCLA or USC, man, those aren't real legit home field advantages. Come on, you got good teams, and you can lose them because you're playing against good teams. Not legit home field advantages. So anyway, Oregon at Washington, and those open up as Washington as a 3-point favorite. This has, and I looked earlier, I'm pretty sure this has actually been bet down. Oh no, I saw it. I checked on it a couple of days ago, and this had went to 2.5. This is back up to 3, so this stayed at 3. This has potential to me to be a wild shootout kind of game. I think this is going to be a crazy high-scoring game. By the way, if you want to know, the over-under in this game is 67.5. You might want to think about that over. Doesn't have to do with what I'm doing here, but you might want to think about that over. Oregon has pretty much cooked everybody except for Texas Tech. They got very, very fast, skilled players, both at running back and receiver, led by Troy Franklin at wideout. Very, very fast players. Bo Nix does a great job in this offense, hitting these guys off, getting them in space, having them make plays. And defensively, they've been good enough to really shut down most of their competition outside of Texas Tech. Now, I'm going to say this. They haven't really played the toughest competition either. They blasted Colorado, and I like Shedeur a lot. I think that was more of a buzzsaw. I think Colorado wasn't that wasn't a good matchup for Colorado in that game. I don't think Oregon's defense is good enough to hold CU to 6 if they were ever to play again, right? But Oregon's defense has played well, though, but it's been against shaky competition, we'll call it, right? Now you got the Washington Huskies, who are pretty much similar to Oregon. Got great skill players at receiver, right? They have a Heisman candidate at quarterback, and Michael Penix has done a great job hitting off guys, getting them in space. And where I think they're a little different, they don't have the flash at running back that Oregon has, but they got a really, really good running back in Dylan Johnson, who I talked about before. I said when he transferred into Washington, I thought it was a huge move because I thought he was a really good back at Mississippi State. I wasn't sure why he wasn't starting. Finally, they got these guys. They got Dylan Johnson into the starting lineup, and I really think it balances out that offense really nicely. And I think Dylan Johnson is going to be the difference in this game. I think Bo Nix is going to be hitting off passes to his backs and receivers. I think Michael Penix is going to do the same. But I think that this is going to be a wild game that goes to the last possession, and I think Dylan Johnson's running ability, Dylan Johnson's ability to move the chains and get the tough yardage, I think he's going to be the difference in this game, despite the 2 Heisman Trophy candidate quarterbacks who are going to have their stats. They're going to go off. But I think Dylan Johnson is going to be the difference in this game. It's why I'm going Washington, and it's also why I'm going to lay the 3 here. Now, there's a chance that we got ourselves a push, because when this was 2.5, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna do that, because I was thinking, go down to the wire. This could be 40-37. I'm gonna still lay the 3 because the push doesn't burn me, and I think that they can 41-37, right? So I'm going Washington Huskies in this one. This is my first ATS pick. All right, let's move on to Texas A&M at Tennessee. These are two teams that are. This is interesting because these are two teams that are in desperate need of a win, right? Texas A&M got a bad loss, if not by team, losing to Alabama, but the fact that they had the game, they dominated the first half, probably better than Alabama if you're talking about player for player this season. Just didn't execute at all in the second half, got dominated. Alabama made great halftime adjustments and were able to control that second half. Texas A&M also has a 48-33 loss on their record to Miami earlier in the season. So this is a team that needs this win for respectability, right? Tennessee needs this win for the sense that everybody's kind of forgot about Tennessee, right? They lost to Florida, and since then, Texas San Antonio, they beat up on them. They beat up on South Carolina, but these aren't games that are going to move the needle. They don't have a move the needle game except Florida this season, and they lost it, right? So now this is a game where they're at home. They need this game for more national, I guess you could say, national respectability. But both coaches need this game. Jimbo Fisher needs this game because his tenure at Texas A&M just hasn't lived up to expectations, right? And this was the year where it looked like, okay, now they're going to reach those expectations. And, we're what? They got they're 4-2, 6 games into the season, they got 2 losses, right? Their defense has really hurt them. They hurt them in the Miami game, giving up 48. They hurt them against Alabama because they're the only defense that made Jalen Milroe, look the way Jalen Milroe did. I mean, Jalen Milroe threw for over 300 yards in that game. And while I always thought Jalen Milroe was better than what he looked against Texas, people were blaming, jumping on Jalen Milroe for the Texas game. He wasn't that bad in the game, right? But man, he hasn't looked as good as he looked against A&M. Josh DeBerry at cornerback. I mean, he used to play at BC, transferred in. I wasn't sure why they did that move because I don't think he was that great at BC to begin with, if we're just being honest. And then you got him matched up ISO with Jermaine Burton. Jermaine Burton busted him up the whole game. I mean, call it what it is. He just did, and Jermaine Burton was really the difference in the game on why Alabama was able to win this game. So A&M's defense has a lot that they need to prove this week, and they're going against Tennessee. Josh Heupel's offense is always going to be lights out. Yeah, sure, Brew McCoy is out. That is true. Brew McCoy is out, and that's a tough loss for Tennessee because I always liked Brew McCoy. I always thought he was a good player, but they still got other receivers. Like these Aggie DBs, they just got cooked. Squirrel Wright's got wheels. Ramel Keaton, he can play, right? So they still got guys that they're gonna have to deal with going downfield. Can they cover these guys? I think you got mirror images at quarterback in the sense that Joe Milton has his issues where he can probably have the strongest arm in college football, but can be inaccurate with it. You got Max Johnson, who I'll just be the first to admit it, I may have overrated him because he's had 6 consecutive bad quarters of football, 6 consecutive bad quarters of quarterback play. He locks on the guys and he's not finding the open receivers. When you look at this game, I mean, you can say if you like the Aggies, you're gonna say, man, we got wideouts, man. We got Evan Stewart and Noah Thomas and Mooks Muhammad, and you guys do, but you guys see Max Johnson getting these guys involved and hitting them off? I don't see it, right? So this is a game where I think that Tennessee, they had the advantage at the running back position, and that's the advantage that's going to take place in this game, that you're going to see in this game. I think they have a consistent running game with Jalen Wright and Jabari Small and Dylan Sampson, to where they can move the chains, kind of control the game, control the clock. They're going to, it's Josh Heupel. They're going to go for big plays. And I think the Tennessee running game is going to be the difference in this game, whereas the Aggies don't really have a running game that has been consistent this year. They still seem to not know what they're doing at running back position. That said, so Tennessee came into this. I'm taking Tennessee straight up. They came into this as a 3.5-point favorite. This has gone down to 3. Now, this is a game I'm not going to do because I think this is going to be a really close game. This is another game kind of like Oregon-Washington, but I want to do the game of the week against the spread. But this one I'm not going to do. I'm going to stay away from this one because this is a game where if it happens, if Max Johnson does go at Evan Stewart and Noah Thompson and get these guys involved, they have advantages over these Tennessee DBs. I just haven't seen them be able to do that, so I don't want to put stock into that just yet. So I'm going to go with Tennessee in this game, and I'm going with Tennessee straight up. Sorry about the footballs. They're a little there we go. There we go. We'll have to do them a little smaller, I guess. But yeah, so let's anyways, let's move on to the next game, which is right after I get this one. So sometimes I got a little OCD, right? Kansas at Oklahoma State. Now you're probably like, man, Oklahoma State, man, why the hell you got them on here? And I'm with you on that. I don't like doing games where you got bad teams on here. I think Oklahoma State's a bad team, but if you look at Oklahoma State's record, right? They're 3-2. They got a winning record, and they did just beat Kansas State. So I'm gonna give them some respect, and I'm gonna go ahead and talk about them on here. They beat K-State. Kansas. They took a lot of advantage of a lot of Kansas State miscues. I think Kansas State had a bunch of turnovers in that game. I want to say Will Howard threw like 3 picks. Yeah, Will Howard threw 3 picks in that game. In fact, he threw a pick 6 before the half too. To kind of say was the difference in the game. I'm sorry. By the way, that Tennessee game went down from 3.5. I didn't say it already. It went from 3.5 to 3. Let me go ahead and change that. But anyway, so Oklahoma State, I think they're a pretty bad football team outside of Ollie Gordon and Colin Oliver. So if you don't know who they are, Ollie Gordon is a running back for Oklahoma State. He's got power, he's got speed, he's got vision. He's probably not used enough, or he doesn't have enough help, regardless if you want to call it. Their quarterback, Alan Bowman, is not a very good quarterback. He's played a lot of football and has never been any good football. And then Colin Oliver is an edge defender. He's definitely an NFL player. He's a great player off the edge. I haven't heard about him this year because Oklahoma State has been a team to really, talk about, right? This team got crushed by South Alabama, right? Going against the Kansas team, who, they got whipped by Texas, but Kansas just not as good as Texas, right? They gave up 660 yards of offense that game. Oklahoma State is in Texas, right? You got Jalen Daniels is unlikely to play again. I don't know if Jalen Daniels is going to play again this season. So they're going to go with Jason Bean at quarterback. Jason Bean, I've said it many times, I think he's one of the better backup quarterbacks in the country. I think he's more than good enough. This is in Texas he's playing. He's more than good enough to make plays against Oklahoma State. I think he's going to make plays with his legs against Oklahoma State. This is a game where the spread was 4. Kansas was favored by 4. And this has since moved to 3. Wow. That's pretty wild. I guess maybe the Jalen Daniels news of him not playing in this game came out and caused the line to shift. Regardless, I'm definitely doing this game as I think that Oklahoma State is not a good football team, and while they did get a good win against Kansas State, I don't think they're going to beat the other team in Kansas. So we're going to go ahead and go with Kansas, and I'm doing this against the spread. I'm laying the 3. Kansas should win this game. They should actually probably run all over these guys with Henshaw and Neal. So I'm expecting Kansas to win, to cover the 3. I wouldn't be surprised if they went on the road and won by double digits. Next up, Florida, South Carolina. This is a game where Florida really needs this. Billy Napier really needs it. Florida's lost, man, I want to say it's like 7 or 8 in a row on the road. They can't win a road game. Billy Napier critics, that noise is getting out there because they believe his offense is too conservative, and it is too conservative. They've got good running backs, but they don't stretch the field. They don't help out the backs by stretching the field and loosening up the defense, right? Graham Mertz has played well as a dink, dink, dink quarterback this season, but that's pretty much what he does. He's missed some big plays out there, so he's another guy similar to Max Johnson, as I spoke about earlier, who kind of locks in on his receivers, and he misses the big play elsewhere. Um, he's going against the South. They're going against the South Carolina team, where I said earlier in the season I thought they were probably going to be the worst team in the SEC this year. Are they the worst team in the SEC? That remains to be seen. Okay, so they beat Mississippi State. I'll give them that. They got one win, right? But they lost to Georgia. They got crushed by Tennessee. This isn't a good team. This isn't a good defense whatsoever. And I think this is a bad matchup for South Carolina in the sense that what they struggle to stop, which is the running game, is what Florida does best. I think Florida's, ink passing game of throwing hitches all the time is going to work against South Carolina because South Carolina will give that to you. I think South Carolina is going to get run on this game. I think this is a game where Florida is actually going to go. They're going to win on the road, but they're actually going to look good doing it because I don't think that South Carolina is a good matchup for Florida. Now, I guess they took into consideration. By the way, this is still a 2.5-point spread. They took into consideration that Florida is not good on the road, and people think South Carolina's good. I have no idea why, man. I don't get it. I really like Leggett at wide receiver. I think he's big, fast, strong. He can cause a problem. But Rattler's inconsistent. Man, he's a little more consistent this year. Okay, maybe. But these guys, man, they got no O-line. They get tons of pressure. They're not going to be able to run the ball well in this game. There's no Ray Davis here. Florida's going to win this game. I'm going to tell you right now, even though they're not favored by the 2.5, they're going to win by more than 3. So I'm going with the Gators in this one. And I'm doing this against the spread because I'm taking Florida straight up money line. So far we've got Washington, we're laying the 3. Kansas, we're laying the 3. And Florida money line. So far we got 3. All right. On to Iowa State, Wisconsin. This is a game that I'm definitely not going to do. Or I'm sorry, Iowa, Wisconsin. These teams are just beat. Both of these teams, by the way, if you guys don't know, they are beat up with injuries right now. Both of these teams have issues offensively, different issues though, right? So Wisconsin with Braylon Allen, they can still move the ball with the running game. Tanner Mordecai just hasn't been great passing the ball, and he's got guys he can pass to. So DK and Bryson Green, those guys can play at receiver. Wisconsin has receivers. Don't think differently. Wisconsin has receivers. So if the passing game is not working, that's on the quarterback. That's on Tanner Mordecai. Against an Iowa defense, man, he's going to have problems. He's going to have problems. I thought about doing this game with Iowa in the points just because of that simple fact that I think Tanner Mordecai is going to have problems this game. But then you look at the other side. Iowa's also beat up with injuries. Deacon Hill is starting at quarterback. Man, this guy, I think he completed 6 passes, 6 for 21, man, last game against Purdue. Man, come on. We're not talking about a brick wall defense. I just don't know how much Iowa's going to be able to score to be able to stay within 10 in this game. This opened at 9. This is now 9.5. So people are leaning towards Wisconsin. Personally, I'm not going to do this game because of Tanner Mordecai not being a consistent quarterback this entire season. And I don't think that I don't want to take Iowa in the 9.5 because Iowa really just hasn't been able to score like that this season whatsoever. And they're beat up with injuries, backup quarterback, and all of that. And, also they're Iowa. They don't know how to play offense. The offensive coaches there don't know what the hell they're doing. If you want to know in case you're curious, this is something to consider. The over-under in this game, by the way, is 34. Under 34 in this one. And that's a maybe, right? That's a maybe. So keep that in mind if you want to do this game. If you want to do the over-under in this game. It's 34 right now. It used to be 34 and a half, too. I checked earlier in the week. So just keep that in mind. Oh, I did not take Iowa. Sorry about that. I take Wisconsin. But I'm taking Wisconsin straight up. No spread. Arizona at Washington State. So this game right here, I'm going to give a disclaimer, right? Right now, they don't know. Arizona doesn't know who they're going to start at quarterback. They have said that if Jaden DeLora is 100%, they're going to start Jaden DeLora. If Jaden DeLora is 100% and he starts in this game, I'm going to take Washington State, and I'm not going to do the spread. So keep this in mind. If Arizona goes with Noah Fafita, who I think is better than Jaden DeLora, because Jaden DeLora, while he has a better arm, he's really erratic and will turn the ball over quite a bit. If they got Noah Fafita, I'm telling you right now, I'll take Washington State straight up, but for against the spread pick, I'm taking Arizona. Actually, let's check what the spread has gone to. See, they know this is going down to 7.5. This is going to 7.5. This is a big shift right here. So if no Fafita, because I would have took the 9 with no Fafita in Arizona. 7.5. I'll you know what? I'm gonna still take Arizona if no Fafita starts at quarterback, because I think that this is going to be a really, really close game. I think that Arizona could actually win the game, but I will take Washington State straight up, right? Cam Ward and company to get a bounce back at home in Pullman. I think they'll be able to make plays against the Arizona secondary. But Arizona's going to be able to run the ball in this game. I know Fafita. I think he's a smart quarterback, and I think he can definitely – this is going to be a game, in my opinion. I think this is going to be a tight game. So, again, if no Fafita is starting, I'm taking Arizona with a plus 7.5. No matter who starts, I'm taking Washington State straight up, though. All right. On to Auburn, LSU. Auburn, LSU, you know, throughout history, this has been an absolute slobber knocker of a game, right? When both of these teams are good, man, this is a hell of a game. It's usually low scoring. It's usually tight. It's usually down to the final possession. It's usually a great game. Before we keep getting into it, by the way, it's LSU open favorite 12.5. This is now, where are you at? Wow, this is now down to 11. People really believing in Auburn in this game, I guess. You look at LSU, and their defense has just been really, really porous, right? You're looking at this game from the LSU side. Number one, nobody's been able to stop this Jaden Daniels machine yet, right? And probably the only team that can stop him is what, like a Georgia caliber defense. That's not what Auburn has. Auburn does not have a Georgia caliber defense. Jaden Daniels, Brian Thomas, Malik Neighbors, Logan Diggs. These guys are going to get their yards. They're going to get their touchdowns. LSU is going to score in this game. At home, too. They're scoring in this game. It's an at-home night game in Baton Rouge. Auburn can't play offense, right? I like their running backs a bit. Jarquez Hunter is all right. I really like Brian Petit, but he's an undersized running back, so I guess I don't give him the ball that much. He's got great burst. They can't pass the ball at all. You know what I'm saying? So what LSU struggles at in their secondary, because they can't cover anybody, Auburn can't really take advantage of, because they don't have quarterbacks that have shown that they can do anything to take advantage of that. So because of that, I'm taking LSU and night game Baton Rouge. I'm taking LSU. And by the way, I'm laying the 11 in this game. I think LSU is winning this game. I'm surprised that it's been bet down. If you guys don't want to go with my pick, do your research, because I have no idea why this went from 12.5 to 11. But I haven't seen anything in injuries with LSU. You know, something like Jaden Daniels not playing or something. That's crazy to me. So I'm taking LSU. I'm laying the 11. Right. Um, On to another huge game: USC and Notre Dame. USC, if you guys have been following USC, man, they're begging for a loss. They won last week against Arizona 43-41 at home. Should have lost that game. Got out gang, allowed 500 yards. Defense can't stop anybody. Won in OT in that game. Good job. You won in OT. You clutched up. Colorado, they were up 41-14. Colorado almost has a miraculous comeback. USC wins 48-41, right? Week before, USC beats a bad Arizona State team 42-28. Can't stop one player, Cam Scatterbull, doing everything he wants to USC. The point I'm making is this USC defense cannot stop anyone. And if you are a tough team, tough-minded, physical players, I think you can bully this defense. And that's what Notre Dame has. Notre Dame has those kind of guys. I think Audric Estime, yeah, they got shut down. Man, they got shut down against Louisville. That Louisville defense was flying around making plays. But, man, they just came off of Ohio State. They just came off of Duke. They needed a breather game. That's probably a game they kind of let up in. Okay, they had it. They let up. I think they're back to Notre Dame football in this game. I think Notre Dame is going to punch USC in the mouth over and over in this game. I think their defense is good enough to sort of contain Caleb, who I think Caleb is an outstanding player, but sort of contain Caleb. I think they're, with Marcus Freeman coaching that D and the guys they got on that defense, I think they're more than capable of keeping that game in control. And the running game is going to control the Notre Dame running game is going to control this game. This is still 2.5, by the way. I'm going to go ahead and do this game. I'm doing this game against the spread. I'm taking the Irish in this one, and I'm laying the 2.5. So we're doing a lot against the spread picks, man, because we had ourselves a rough one. We got to find our way back. Call it what it is. Got to find our way back, right? Next up, Miami at UNC. UNC opened at a 2.5-point favorite. UNC is now favored by 3.5. I'm sorry. Oh, I looked at the wrong team. UNC opened as a 3.5-point favorite, and it's still 3.5. So this is a game Miami doesn't even need this game. It's Marco Cristobal needs this game. After the way they lost to Georgia Tech, I don't need to rehash everything. Everybody in the world is already, or in the football world has already seen the way that Miami lost to Georgia Tech. When they took a knee and won the game, they elected to run the ball, stripped. Georgia Tech gets with like 20 seconds left, hits a deep pass, wins the game with a touchdown, lose 23-20. I mean, Miami should be, 5-0? And this is supposed to be another huge game. There's a lot of huge games this week. It's still a huge game, but it kind of tainted this game, right? So when you lose like that, man, how do you come back? You either come back focused, that's BS, we're locked in, we want to rebound, we want to wash that out of our mouths, or you let a loss like that stay with you mentally and you just spiral the whole season. Man, I don't. It's hard to tell what way Miami's gonna go without being in that locker room. You got to know the mentality of these players. North Carolina, on the other hand, man, these guys are cruising along. These guys are 5-0. They're putting it on everybody. Except Appy State kept it close with them, but they've been putting it on teams. The defense has been surprisingly well this year. But they're going against the best offense they've seen. Tyler Van Dyke is gonna have a better game than he had last week. Colby Young's been quiet. They haven't been hitting off Colby Young like they should be. Colby Young's a bully out there, and I think he can bully these UNC DBs. Donald Chaney at running back, right? Play. Restrepo receiver also. He's kind of sneaky good too. I think UNC defense is going to get challenged in this game. Tyler Van Dyke can move the ball against these guys, and the Miami defense. Man, they've been playing lights out football pretty much the whole season. Texas A&M dropped 33 and they got a lot of yards on them, but there was some comeback mode in there. But This Miami defense has been playing is underrated how well they played this year. But you could say the same with North Carolina. This is a game that I won't touch against the spread because I think that Miami can win this game. I think Miami, they can rebound and win this game. I'm not going to do this against the spread because I don't know what the mentality is of Miami in this game. And without knowing that, you don't know where they are, so you don't know how they're going to respond in this game. Night game in Chapel Hill. It's going to be exciting. I don't think Chapel Hill's great home field advantage, but it does look nice when they play at night, right? If you're a college football fan, you know what I'm talking about. I'm taking Miami in this game. I think Miami's going to pull off the upset, but I'm not touching this game as far as against the spread, money line. I'm not doing that. Let's move right along because we got a lot of games, so this video is going a little longer. Missouri at Kentucky. It's another game I'm not touching. Kentucky's actually owned Missouri. They've won 7 of the last 8 against Missouri. This would be a game that if healthy, I would probably take Missouri straight up in this game. But Cody Schrader's banged up, and I think that's going to be a big loss for them at running back. Kentucky's got some guys out, though, too. They got a safety out, Jalen Geiger, linebacker Trevor Wallace might not play. So this is a game where both teams got some significant injuries that could impact each other, right? This is a game that started out, by the way, 5.5. Damn, this was 5.5. But it started out. This has gone down to 2.5. Yeah, I'm definitely not touching this game. So 2.5 point favorite for Kentucky. I wouldn't mess with this game. I think Kentucky at home at night against a Missouri team that's going to be one-dimensional. Oh, by the way, Missouri's also going to have Enos Rakestraw. Their best corner is going to be out. I've told you Devin Leary, yeah, I'm not a fan of. But this is a game where he can actually look, I think he's going to look decent in. Missouri's top corner's out. They just got busted up by LSU as well. They're going to have balance with Ray Davis. I think Missouri's going to win this game straight up, but this is not a game. I'm sorry, not Missouri. I think Kentucky is going to win this game straight up, but it's not a game that I'm going to do. I don't feel confident enough to do that, laying the 2.5. UCLA, Oregon State. This is a game where Oregon State opened at a 5-point favorite. This is now shifted to 3.5. A lot of action on UCLA to go into Corvallis and win this game. If UCLA was at home, I'm probably taking UCLA in this game. I think their defense has been really underrated this year. I think they've played really good football. With a freshman quarterback going up to Corvallis, I mean, Oregon State has played well. Their defense has played well this year against quarterbacks who aren't really ready for prime time. Looking at the Utah game. Yeah, Cam Ward did get off on him, but Dante Moore, the quarterback for UCLA, isn't at Cam Ward level just right. Cal, actually, you know what? Last week, Cal, they got some. Well, yeah, he didn't really get off like that either. They just got ran on. Oh, that's something. Yeah, Oregon State, you can run the ball on them. UCLA's got a good running game. I mean, I could definitely see UCLA going into Corvallis and winning this, but with a true freshman quarterback going on the road, I don't feel confident yet in saying that. So I'm going to take Oregon State straight up. I think the freshman quarterback can make just enough mistakes to where Oregon State can take advantage and win the game at home. Yeah, I'm not laying the 3.5. And then finally, NC State at Duke. This is a game I'm not going to do because we don't know if Riley Leonard is playing or not. This has gone from 4. Duke is a 4-point favorite to a 3-point favorite. I don't think Riley Leonard is going to play because that high ankle sprain isn't going to heal that fast. The backup quarterback, Henry Bellin, has barely played any football. Out of New York City kid. You know, New York City, they don't play any real talent. So that doesn't mean he can't play. I'm just saying he's never really faced an opposition like he's going to face with NC State, who's not even that good anyway, right? I mean, we're talking about NC State here. But, you know, with backup quarterback at home, a team that's, you know, basically built on around Riley Leonard and the things that he can do. NC State with MJ Morris. He had some turnovers last week, but they were able to beat a good Marshall team, one of the best mid-major teams out there. I think MJ Morris can go in and beat basically a rookie quarterback essentially, and come out with the win. Now, I'm gonna give another disclaimer. If Riley Leonard plays this game, I'm taking Duke in this game. So that's another disclaimer. But without Riley Leonard, I'm taking NC State. But I'm not gonna do any against the spread here because I don't know what so to recap, our against the spread picks, we're taking Washington laying the 3. We're taking Kansas laying the 3. We're taking Florida straight up. We're taking Arizona if Noah Fafita plays. We're taking Arizona with the 7.5. We're taking LSU and laying the 11. We're taking Notre Dame and laying the 2.5. So we're doing 6 games against the spread this week. So anyways, long video, a lot of games. Hope this is informative for you. If if you're not following my picks and it's just what I talked about, jog your memory or make you think more about a certain game that you were thinking about doing. And as always, if you like the content, like, follow, subscribe, all of that. You're going to see my YouTube handle up here in a few seconds. But that's the end of the video, and take care.